Well, a short time ago, President Biden addressed the war, and he reaffirmed the United States' commitment to Israel. But he also made mention of the suffering among Palestinians.
The United States, make no mistake about it, stands with Israel. The United States stands with Israel. We can't lose sight of the fact that the overwhelming majority of Palestinians had nothing to do with Hamas and Hamas's appalling attacks, and they're suffering as a result as well.
What do you make of that, Chris? Sort of toeing the line there, or what are the comments there?
The president's in a difficult political position because within his own party, there are a lot of people who do not support Israel in this, right? There are a lot of people. You've heard it in Congress with a small minority of members of Congress, but there is broad sentiment on the left side of America that is deeply concerned about the plight of the Palestinians and thinks of Israel as an apartheid state. So here is Joe Biden, who wants to please the majority of the country, which wants to be on Israel's side and wants to do this, but he has this faction within his own party where he is not particularly popular. So he is trying to strike a balance between those things, and it's hard.
Yeah, you mentioned the sort of within his own party. Here's Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She basically says any person can see that ordering 1+ million people to move in under 24 hours is not possible. It is unacceptable. She goes on to say humanity is at stake, nearly half her children. We must halt this.
Yeah, and I've got to say, I would take issue with it. I actually do think that people care about, I think Republicans and Democrats care about innocent lives being lost. And there are, every time we take an action, whether it's a drone strike, we can kill innocent lives. We don't want to. I think the bigger issue for Democrats is actually they don't want to head where we headed after 9/11 to the Iraq War. They don't want a broader conflict that we don't want to sustain for a long time. And so that's what you see when you see Ben Rhodes, our former Deputy National Security Advisor, and the others who are warning against this. They're worried that we're going to get into a conflict with Iran, something that's unsustainable.
Are we hearing some Republicans, though, start to go down that road, too, or...
Well, Republicans do not want to have World War III. Let's be honest about what's going on. When it comes to the Democrats, though, you've hit on a key point here, Blake. You're going to start seeing, the longer this goes on, Biden equivocating, because I've pointed out before, at least in polling, you've seen that a near majority of Democrats actually support the Palestinians over the Israelis. And this is going to be a situation that is, the longer this gets, the bloodier this gets, you're going to see Biden basically trying to have to talk down the situation. And you can't play both sides against the middle on this one, because the Israelis were attacked. The Israelis have every right to defend themselves, just like we did after 9/11, and Biden's got to take the handcuffs off. But I think many people in Congress will eventually not allow that to happen on the Democrat side.
Was that equivocating?
Yes.
I think a little bit, but watch Chuck Schumer, who is going to Israel. He's going to push the White House on this. But you're right. I mean, I think there's a fear of this going way too far, and Israel has a lot of support now. But is that going to last? How long is that going to last?
And there's another politician who is in a crack here, which is Bibi Netanyahu. We have reason to believe, based on some public opinion research, that this has redounded to his disadvantage in the coalition government that's formed over there, and that basically he is being blamed for this, and that this could be the end of a very long road for him. So Biden wants this over quickly. And I would think that Netanyahu wants this to, he wants to go all the way on this for as long as he can, so there's tension between them there.
By the way,
thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.